All right, we are live. Hey, it's Jim Kukrow from Business Around a Book and Author Marketing Club, and joined today by Kim and Curtin. Kim, how are you?
I'm doing excellent. How are you, Jim?
Now, I'm in Cleveland, and you're in Hawaii. This is the power of technology.
The power of technology is a wonderful thing.
Yeah, and it's 75 degrees and sunny here today, and I'm sure it's a little bit nicer where you are.
No, I'm 3,500 feet above the ocean, so it's actually probably a little warmer by you than it is by me. Probably right now it's only about 68, 70. So.
Wow, very nice. Well, thanks for coming on and talking today, because we've known each other for about 7 or 8 years now. We did some work together. You helped me back when I was launching my book 7 years ago, I think 7 years ago.
A long time. Maybe
yeah,
maybe 8.
8, yeah.
Pretty.
And since that time, you have produced your own book, and you have a business to run around that book. And tell us a little bit about the book. You have a book copy there?
My baby.
Yeah,
this is my book, Transforming Culture. Yes.
Yeah, this was to you, this was quite the challenge to write this book. But I want to talk about the business first, because
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about what your business is, because you have a very unique business.
I do. I do executive coaching for CEOs. My specialty is with those in the finance community. I've worked in or around finance now for 20 years. I have a deep empathy for people who work in that industry because of my own experience in it. I know how hard it is. I know how high pressured it is, how everybody has to be really perfect and you can't make any mistakes. It's a lot to be with, and I think not everybody has empathy for those in the finance world. So I really felt called to kind of bring my executive coaching to them. Coaching is definitely what I was born to do, and I think that's just the sweet spot for my, my focus. Yeah.
So,
but I work as a speaker too. No.
Yeah, you do. We'll get to that. I want to know a little bit more specifically about what you do. So you're talking about a CEO or a trader or somebody on Wall Street or in the financial community who needs help with what?
They come in for a variety of needs. Sometimes it's to improve their emotional intelligence with how to navigate challenging or prickly situations. Sometimes it's how to get a board of directors to perhaps see things from your perspective more successfully. Sometimes it's simply to reassess their career. I find a lot of people in their 40s and 50s have been working really hard for years in one way, and they suddenly wake up one day and they're like, wait a minute, I'm not really sure if this is making me that happy. I have the sense of security, but I may want to do something different. And so they come in sometimes to investigate that.
Yeah, and I think the reason that you needed to have this book for that was, I mean, you're talking about people who have very little time. They have plenty of income, usually, and you're right, they get to a point in their lives where they need to have someone help guide them through the issues that they're having. So you have a very unique target audience. The good thing is they have money. The bad thing is they don't have a lot of time. But the other thing, the hard part for you is that credibility. And that book that you produced, a beautiful hardcover book that you have there, is something that opens those doors for you. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree. I think that when you go to the trouble that a book asks you to go through, there's a level of gravitas people receive you with. There's something that I think we all naturally have a million choices about who to work with as a coach or as an advisor or as a consultant. So what's going to be your unique value proposition? What's going to set you apart and make you really stand out? As good old Seth Godin would say, who's going to be the linchpin, right, for your business? And when you are somebody who's written a book and you've taken the time and energy and effort, that just lends credibility to you really meaning business, that you really mean you love what you do, that you love it so much you're ready to spend as much time and energy and effort and money on that book. So yeah, I think it does say a lot about you
And
for the prospect.
the coaching business is tough. It's tough at the lower. I would consider you at the luxury high ticket level, and then I've done coaching at the medium small business level. It's hard to sell coaching, and I can't imagine it's very easy to close customers at the high ticket level, simply because it's high ticket and it's hard to get through to those people. So I find it fascinating. What's your kind of lead cycle when you when someone reads your book and trying to turn them into a customer? How do you do that?
You know, I know this may sound counterintuitive, but the way that I seem to have them turn into customers is by not ever trying to turn them into customers. I really try to trust that the people that are meant to work with me will see that. I am as authentic as possible in my initial conversations with them. I would say fairly generous with my initial conversation for them to get a real sense of who I am. And to tell you the truth, I tell a lot of prospects that I might not be the coach for them. And not just because of my price point, but because the work that I'm going to ask of them and the depth that I'm going to ask them to go, not everybody wants. So I'm really clear about what I don't deliver. If you're looking for a coach who's just going to help you check the boxes, that's not me. So I think I'm very careful who becomes a client, and that probably adds a little cachet to it as well. She's not really wanting me to be her client, possibly. Maybe that makes me want her more. That probably has that effect. It's not really my intention, but that just helps me make sure, you know, I want clients that are going to be all in the work I do with them. And so I'm comfortable with them not necessarily, you know, I keep my lifestyle at a certain level so I can afford to do that, Jim.
Well, the Dr. Cialdini rule there of the scarcity of it, you know, if you are in that tier of person who has an indiscretionary income, you know, you don't want to buy what everyone else can buy. You want to get what people can't have, technically. You know, that's kind of psychology behind that. And you know, some lessons there, obviously, if you're selling high ticket items, are, you know, you have to price accordingly. Pricing is one of the biggest problems I see when I help people figure out how to create online businesses. They just don't know where to price, and it's based upon where your audience is and how much money they have. And one of those things is for high ticket is you better price it at something, because if they walk into a room and they see 2 boxes. I have a friend. My friend does this.
Yep.
He's 46 years old, never been married, doesn't have kids, and he makes a lot of money, right? So he has every toy in the world, right? So we'll go out on a fishing trip or something, and if he walks into a store and there's 2 items, item A and item B, and item A is $100 and item B is $3,000, but I could look him in the face and go, item A and item B are exactly the same item. Yet this one's $3,000 and that one's $100. And he'll say to me, in his brain, he'll say, well, this one's 3,000, so I guarantee you it's better. And I'll say, no, it's the exact same product. He goes, I don't care. I'm going to spend the $3,000. And that's kind of like the mindset you get with high ticket people. If it's valued, if it costs more, it's worth more. So when people are priced, do you find that same type of thing? I mean, have you ever priced too low? Have you ever priced too high? I bet you've never priced too high. I bet.
I probably haven't priced too high. It's funny, you know, I think because I was in the finance world and because of the level of salary I was at, I made a lot of money when I worked in finance, and I made very, very generous bonuses. And I worked my butt off for them, I assure you, but it was a whole nother experience for me, you know, than I had ever had financially. So I think because of the value that I see my clients create for themselves, I know that what I'm asking is just a teeny portion of what they wind up creating, either in their price of salary bonus structure or career transition. So I had to ask myself, it was hard for me to step along the way. Every time I stepped up, I was like, wow, here, wow, here, wow, here. And they say you have to always be a little uncomfortable when you put your price out there, or you're not doing it right. So I probably in the middle of these potential retreats to do high-end, retreats here in Hawaii for a very small, intimate few, that probably will definitely be a much bigger price point than I've ever stepped into. So, I'm trying to stay fresh and challenge myself too, Jim.
Yeah, and one of the struggles at I've never sold a high ticket item. However, I've spoken to people who have, and I know what you're doing. And for example, you're talking about maybe doing retreats at that level. Again, I think the biggest problem for you closing business is the time issue.
Totally.
Because these people, these men and women, are just completely probably overworked. I mean, if we believe what we see on television in the movies, these people are working 20 hours a day and they never see their kids and stuff. And
that's right.
So the time is the biggest issue, and then the pricing it too low are the biggest issues as well. But there is a natural thing that we do in our heads when we price our products. We tend to want to price them too low. I've before. This product I'm working on now. I'm trying to figure out what the best price is for it, and I know it's too low what I'm going to price it at, because it's worth 3 or 4 times that. But in my head, I'm saying to myself, well, if I price it too high, no one's going to buy it. And then
I heard a really cool measuring technique from one of the coaches. I'll think of her name later. But she basically said, come up with the amount that you think your offering is worth, and then ask yourself what you think the most you could ever ask for that offering. And she said somewhere in the middle is the sweet spot for your initial ask.
That's a great way to think about it. And, the other thing with the pricing too is I've always said you could start high. You start high, and if you don't buy, you can lower it. I mean, that's just the way.
Don't you find though that the hardest piece of this with the pricing is the entrepreneur's sense of value? Because it's their confidence. I find most entrepreneurs are over delivering and afraid to really ask for what their value is. But to me, that's an emotional relationship to our sense of worthiness and our relationship to money.
Yeah, and that's why you're good at what you do, because you get that. One of the things that I do is, for example, Author Marketing Club, I charge a much it's a medium range, $150 for a year. However, my time, the big thing that I value is my time, right? Same with your customers. So with Author Marketing Club, I don't have any hands-on work. It's people log in, they access it, they use the tools, they get the training, it's there. Now, this new thing that I'm launching is part, strategy and a consult. So therefore, it starts to take my time. And my time is valued much higher than just a login. So therefore, I have to price it accordingly. And I work backwards. I wrote that book, Business Around a Lifestyle. And I teach people how to work backwards. I say, come up with that monthly number that you need, that nut you need to make. Is it 10,000 a month? Is it 100 a month? I don't care what it is, but then you got to work backwards and go, well, if I'm starting a membership site and I'm charging $1,000 a month, I need to have this many customers. Can I achieve that many customers? If I'm starting a high ticket consulting business and I need to make $5,000 a month, how do I get enough clients? Do I need 3 customers to give me that, or will 1 give me that? That's how I tend to think of things, and it works in my brain.
Yep, totally. I think it's a really powerful way. I think these are all different ways of doing it, and we have to know them all to pick the one that matches for us.
Yeah. So you also do speaking, and we'll get close to the end here. You're doing speaking as well. And obviously, when you write a great book like that, and you're in the area that you're in, I assume that there's lots of people who are interested in bringing you in as speakers for things like that.
Yes, and not as many as I would hope most recently, but yes, I think my being known and understanding what I'm speaking about is beginning to happen now. You know, I think the timing to these things we can't always be in control of, but this conversations around consciousness in business, the conversations around emotional intelligence, you know, I think our political environment right now is one that polarization is so dramatic that even companies that perhaps thought, oh, well, we'll deal with these kinds of conversations about employee satisfaction later, I'm finding they're much more interested in this conversation around culture, around the kind of culture their firm has, the kind of culture they're in experiencing. People seem to be heightened, which is one of the golden, you know, kind of the lemonade out of the lemons right now. I think this polarization and this kind of harsh environment, people are like, wow, this is just not pleasant. You know, what I want is to have people respect each other. And so if that's not happening in my company, maybe I need to look at that. So I'm having more conversations and calls from organizations now that are like, we're ready. We're ready to take on culture. We're ready to take a look at ourselves because we want to advocate a nice workplace or a place that people want to come to and stay, especially millennials. Millennials are not going to tolerate, you know, they're built differently and they're looking to be a contribution. They're not just, you know, ready to stay because they get a big paycheck. You know, they want to know they're making a difference. And companies are realizing, wow, if I want to keep the millennials, I'm going to have a different environment. So I think right now that's helping me as a speaker, and it's helping me certainly as a coach and, you know, a culture person.
Yeah, and what a great deck that would be, and a great kind of track you could take with that if you kind of branched it off a little bit and maybe just did a deck like, you know, how come, you know, how, you know, how come Wall Street's going to die if the millennials don't get on board, you know, and
Correct.
maybe there's a whole speech there about the 10 ways you can attract millennials to your hedge fund or whatever, you know.
It's a great idea. It's a great idea, Jim. Thank you for that. I have to send you a check afterwards.
But I mean, that would be a great thing to pitch through because you have an agency, a speaking agency.
Yes.
Maybe if you
Yes.
came up with a really good hook deck that you could put out to people that they might say, look, get the stats in there and say the younger people are not joining your firm, and they know that. You just said they know that. Here's why.
I had one CEO said to me, if you could tell me how I could keep these kids for 2 years, rather 3 years instead of 2, I will pay you anything you want.
Well, there you go. So listening to your customers, understanding millennials, the 5 ways to Wall Street can keep them or something, you know. Yeah. What a great deck that would be. And then, you know, that's the beautiful thing about that is you do the deck, you could even do it for a low cost speaking fee, and then you go in and say, well, we're going to do, you know, a workshop, right? And then you charge them for the work. So many other models you could do. So
totally,
well, I wish you
great idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to do this type of thing. I understand your business a little bit because we've talked a lot, and
definitely.
But I would love to take it to the next level because I think you're one of those people. I don't think there's many people who do what you do, except on TV.
Thank you, Jim. You know, I love it, and that's why I wrote the book, because I was afraid millennials were getting a bad taste in their mouth about what capitalism is, and I just felt like somebody needs to set them straight and say, look, capitalism is wonderful. Corruption is totally different, you know, and that's why I wanted to focus on men and women who had succeeded in finance with integrity to show the world it could be done, you know, and to show the millennials how they could be helping to change the world, you know, so.
Well, we'll be looking for you on Wall Street soon with that speech. Kim, thanks for coming on. Where can people go to grab a copy of the book or learn more about your services?
My website is thewallstreetcoach.com. You want to put the word "the" in there. And my books name is Transforming Wall Street, and that's its own site too. But the book's available on Kindle. It's on Amazon, and you could certainly buy it on Amazon. And hardcover is on there as well. So it says a hardcover, and it's available, as an ebook. So Barnes and Noble too.
And it's a beautiful book. I know you spared no expense to put that book out. So congratulations.
Thank you, Jim. This was so much fun today. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was fun. Thanks for coming on. Everyone check out the Wall Street Coach, thewallstreetcoach.com, and check out what Kim's doing. And if you know people on Wall Street, you definitely want to hook them up with Kim, because Kim can help them. And Kim, thanks again for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it too.
All right, I'm going to wrap up here. This is Jim Kukrow from Business Around a Book. Hope you guys enjoyed this interview. Go out there. If you're doing high-ticket stuff, think about what Kim and I talked about today. Sign up. We'll talk about some other ways you can do some high-ticket stuff, because it's easy to sell and it's hard to sell, just like everything, even the medium stuff. So, all right, have a great week, everybody, and we'll see you in the next one. Talk to you then. Bye.